All right, come on. Let's go. All right, back to the lesson. Thank you. All right, so what we're looking at is us to understand how the Creator talks to us. He talks to us through the Torah. The Torah is our heritage. This is part of the inheritance. It's bigger than just receiving the land of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. This is our inheritance. This is what the Creator has given to us, and we can find that right there in verse number 4. We left off on verse number 5, but what I want to do tonight is I want to go over just a few of these sons, just to kind of remind us of what this is talking about. And I want you to start thinking about when it said that this is the blessing. This is the wazoth. The wazoth means in this. And it's not the blessing that was the most important word in the Torah portion. The most important word was this, meaning zoth. And zoth means what stands out and who the Creator is talking to. You know, and so we're going to get some different understanding about what blessing to him really means. You know, barak means, or barakah means that it's a bending of the knee. It's Yah showing respect and giving a gift, right? So Yah's going to give us some gifts as a people. So in verse number 6, let's begin to talk about Reuven, okay? And he says, let Reuven live and not die out, even though his numbers grow few. Does that sound like a blessing to you? Does it sound promising? It sounds it sounds terrible. Okay. So these are the things that Moshe is saying at the end of his life. These are the only words that he said to him. This is it. He turned around in the crowd and said, let Reuven live and not die out, even though his numbers grow few. Why would his numbers grow few? Somebody tell me. What do you think? Why does his numbers grow few?
They were killed in the desert.
Yes, a great number of them were killed in the desert. But remember what we went over, it shows the personalities. I got to let you know the personalities, and I got to let you know what goes along with the family. Now, even though we're talking about Reuven, we're really talking about all of his descendants, because that's who he's addressing. But you can still see the same nature in the descendants that you have in the father. It's just passed on from generation to generation. Okay. So none of us really know 100% what tribe we're from. You really don't know, because there was an intermediate, intermarriage. There was a scattering, we just don't know. A lot of us would like to ascribe to different tribes to say that we're of this tribe, and you think you're of this, or you may have some of the personality traits, right? Yehuda is known for its character traits. So Reuven, does anyone know what his name means?
Praise.
Reuven?
Oh, Reuven.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Make sure you got a pen and paper, okay? So Reuven, okay, in this word here, Reu, right? This Reu means to see, okay? It means to see. The first few letters of his name means to see, okay? And the last part is vain, which really in Hebrew, there is no letter B. Anytime you see a letter V in English, transliterated to a B, okay? So we know that B, vain in Hebrew is what?
Sun.
The sun. Excellent. So it means to see a son, because that's what his mother said to him. When he was the firstborn, his mother said, I see a son, right? So she actually saw a son when he came out, so we're going to get into that in a second. We know that Reuven did a lot of bad things. What did he do?
He laid in his father's bed.
Laid in his father's bed, which is violating the rights of his father, okay? The Torah is designed, I want you to understand this, the words of the living Elohim is designed and handcrafted for this group of people, okay? So a lot of us, we think, well, the Torah is just these words that Yah has given to us, and they've always been around. These are the instructions that he has for his people in order so they can live in his midst. Okay, so that's why it's important not to think about, well, the Torah is done away with, because these were handcrafted. But it's a reason why it says don't marry your wife's sister. Somebody tell me why. Why can't a man marry a woman and her sister? Think about somebody. Who is he talking about?
Yeah, cool.
You're talking about Yaakov. And his name means because. Okay. Because if a man marries his wife's sister, what's going to happen in the family?
Chaos.
There's going to be chaos, and there's going to be a rival. Okay. There's going to be contention, and there's going to be chaos in that family. That's why. So what we know now is that Yah doesn't want chaos in the family. Okay. And when we look at this, we can see that happened with this in particular son. Okay. I see his son, Reuven. Okay. When you guys did your Torah portion this week, what son was not mentioned? Out of the 12 sons, which son was not mentioned? We got Reuben, who's number 1. Okay. The second son. Who's the second son?
The second son.
It's Shimeon. Okay. Okay. So Shimeon is the second. Shimeon is not mentioned in the blessing. Moshe did not speak. And you got to remember that the Creator is using Moshe as a mouthpiece. He didn't say not one word to Shimeon. Not one word. And we're going to talk about why in a second. Okay. Who's the third son? Who's the third son born? You got
Levi.
Levi. Yes.
David.
His real name is pronounced Lewi. Because in Hebrew, there is no letter V. Okay. There's no letter V. It's either going to be a W or it's going to be a B. And we'll talk more about that a little bit later, but his name is Lewi. Okay. That's his name. He's number 3. Who's number 4?
Yehuda.
Yehuda is number 4. Praise be to the living Elohim. Is anybody wearing a watch right now?
No.
Okay.
Kane, how many numbers do you have on it?
12.
You got 12. You think that's on accident?
No.
How many months are in the year?
12.
12. How many Supreme Court justices are there?
12.
How many jurors do you have?
12.
Where do you think that comes from?
Tribes.
How many? Yes. How many Masorite signs are in the heavens? There's 12. Okay. That's not an accident, right? That's where you get your directions of the north and the west and the south and the east. Okay. The news. Any of you guys watch the news?
Yes.
The news is telling you about what's going on the 4 corners of the earth. They supposed to. Where's Yehuda in the map? North, east, south, or west? Where is he located?
West.
He's on the east.
Oh, okay.
He's on the rising of the sun. I'm about to show that to you. Okay. So those are the first 4 sons. Let me share my screen with you right quick. Leah has sons and Rachel has sons. Okay. But also Leah has what you will call and her sister, they both had maidservants who ultimately became the wives that Yaakov didn't ask for. He really didn't ask for them. They were just given to him because they were having problems birthing children. So this is the reason why they gave him wives. Okay. So Ziplah belongs to Leah, and Rachel is Bilhah's maidservant. Leah's children, she has 8 sons. Okay. 8 natural born sons. They're not 8. Well, no, 6 are born to her, and 2 of them are through her maidservant. Okay. So the firstborn again is Reuben. Okay. Meaning to behold, to see a son. Okay. The second one, as you have mentioned, is Simeon, and his name means he heard. Okay. The third is Lewi, meaning, and I got Levi up here, but it's really Lewi. Lewi is joined. Okay. The reason why these children are named this is simply because this was Leah's prayer. She prayed for these kids because she was hated. So when she was hated, she went through a process of praying to Yah and asking her to give her the victory over her sister, which she considered her sister an enemy. Okay. She was cast into this without wanting to even be part of this. But because she was the oldest, in their custom, her father, gave her up to him, to Yaakov, our father, based on default. But she was never loved, and so she thought the more kids I had, then my husband will, behold, I gave him a son, And then the second thing is he heard. Why? Yahweh heard what I was being hated. What else? And now my husband, he'll be joined to me. Okay. And then also to praise Yah from this 4th son. So she had 4 sons even before Rachel had any sons. Okay. So understand your heritage and understand the family. You can't focus just on one of these children because the whole entire nation consists of all these different personalities. Okay. Which makes up a whole. Right. So if you and I are from Judah or Yehuda, then, we should give them praise and so forth. But guess what? Is Yehuda the only ones required to give praise to Yah?
No.
No. Huh? No. Do you want Yah just to look at Reuben as a son, or does he look at all of Yisrael's sons? All. Is Lewi supposedly the only one that Yah desires, right? For just to him to be joined and that's it?
No.
He's using him to join everyone else to the Creator. So even though he's the one who's joining it, he's the one that Yah chose to come close to him, right? He really doesn't have any bragging rights. The responsibility is heavy on Lewi, which we're going to read in a second, okay? But I brought up Shimeon because it says he's heard, okay? And from our previous Torah portion, there was something about him that made it clear the reason why he's not mentioned. I want to let you know why. Why wasn't he mentioned? He wasn't mentioned simply because of his behavior, because Yah heard him. Listen to this, okay? I had this up before. Shalom. As I've indicated to you before, the creator of the heavens and the earth everything is done by design, okay? So when he took the census of the children of Israel, he put them in different locations, which is the north, the east, and the south, and the west. As we went over before, we found out that in the wilderness, a lot of people died, okay? A lot of people died. Their numbers were being decreased because of their behaviors and their actions. So again, you see Yehuda's numbers are being decreased 9.5%. You see Issachar, his numbers were being decreased. Zevulun, his numbers increased, right? And so it talks about, well, why Zevulun? I don't want to go over that right now, but I want to deal with that which happened in this over here, not only in the West, their numbers were increasing. Look at Manasseh. His number was at 63.6%, and his brother was going down at Ephraim. Benjamin was increasing. Then it talks about why, I give the explanation of that. But we're going to go and find out about Shimeon, okay, which is in the south. Let me see. Let me just pull it up right here. Out of all the tribes, out of all of them, everybody that was located in the southern part of the camp, which is called the southern Makane, because Makane means camp, we find that Shimeon, right, was the one who lost more people than anybody else. He's at 62.56%, 62.56% in decreased in numbers. And you understand this based on his name. When it says he heard, that means that the creator of the heavens and the earth listened very carefully to this family, because we're talking about this family right here, okay? So the 62.5%, that number supersedes literally every other tribe. It's 5 here, 14%, 13%, maybe a little here, 19%, but 62.56% because he was talking crazy. That's why. He was talking crazy and Yah heard him. Okay, so because Yahweh heard, he heard me when I was praying. Remember his mother said that? So anytime this in particular son speaks, and a matter of fact, if you can remember what happened in Mitzrayim, when Yosef kept everybody out, all the brothers, he kept Simeon as a hostage. Why? Because the brother, or Simeon, he was the one who was instrumental in saying, let's kill Yosef. That's the reason why he threw him in jail and told everybody else you can go. And they left him in there and he held him in there. Why? Because of who he is, because he heard what he said. Okay. So what is the creator telling us? He's telling us, for us, because you don't know what tribe you belong to, Yahweh hears. He hears us. And he's letting us know, I hear you. I hear what you say. Okay. I hear your thoughts. I know what you're thinking. I know what's your calculations, because that's what a thought is. It's a calculation. I know how you calculate, and what your intentions are. Okay. But you might ask yourself, well, why? Or who is Simeon? Because that's what me means. Who's this Shimon? Who is he? Shimon is someone that his father has said this to him before he died. Remember, his father blessed them like Moshe's blessing the sons of the families of the mishpachas of the tribes. Well, their father, Yaakov, before he died, he decided, I need to bring my sons to me and tell them what I need to tell them before I die. Okay, so the two places that you'll find these blessings, one is from their father in chapter number 49 of Bereshith. I don't know why this thing keeps moving. Forgive me, you guys. Chapter number 49 of what they would call Genesis, but it's Bereshith, chapter 49. You will find the blessings of the father to his sons, all 12 of them, okay? But here we're in chapter number 33 of Davarim, and Moshe is giving out the blessings. But here there's nothing being mentioned in chapter number 33 of Davarim. But here in chapter number 49, the father gives you a clue about what's going to happen with this in particular family, okay? He says Shimon and Levi are brothers, and they're related by weapons of violence, right? So now this makes sense, because he says this after Yosef came back into the family. This is when he pronounces this while they're in Mitzrayim. So this in particular family, this in particular man, his family is going to be a family of violence. And the violence that they did, do you guys remember the violent act that him and Levi did together? What did they do? Do you remember?
They went and killed. Oh,
Go ahead. They killed who?
they
They
the
killed
person. Oh, sorry.
Yes. They killed the guy, yes, who raped their sister. They killed him. They killed his father. They killed the whole entire city. Okay. After Yaakov made a covenant and said, hey, you will join ourselves with you. But of course, they had some other intentions. And Yah didn't, intervene at that time, but he allowed them to do this. So these two brothers right here are the ones who went in and killed these people. Okay. So they're very violent. And this is the reason why Yah says that someone who's violent, who's brutish, they're dumb and they're stupid because they don't think. The only way that they respond to people is through violence. So we need to understand that the people that are violent are the ones who don't think. Okay. And Yah has a problem with them. So going back to what he did with the 65 or 69% of the people that got destroyed in the wilderness is because they were the ones who were violent. They were the ones who were trying to cause problems in Israel. And therefore the Creator had nothing to say to this family. And that was humiliating. Okay. And he says, let me not be what? I don't want to enter their counsel. I don't want nothing to do with them in their counsel or their advisement, and don't let my honor be around them, and don't let it be connected with their people. You see this? This is what their fathers tell them. And does that sound like a blessing? For he said, I'm going to tell you what it's going to be for you in the last days. So I don't want to be connected with their people. Don't let my honor be connected with these people. So what can we understand about this? We can understand that the children of Lewi are not right. He said, I don't want to be connected with their people, my honor. Right? So what did Yah really do with Shimon? He said, I'm not talking to you anymore. But what did he do with Lewi? Lewi was just as violent. What did Yah use Lewi for? How did he use his violence?
To kill those in the wilderness.
Yes, and he killed 3,000 people in one day. That family said they took up arms and their swords. And before that happened, they didn't arbitrarily do this. They were asked. Moshe asked on behalf of the Creator, who is on the Creator's side? So what we find is that even though they were, they used weapons of violence, and that their father said, I don't want my honor to be connected with their people, they turned around and they earned. Oh, don't do that to me. They earned a blessing from the Creator when they used their violence in the wilderness to get rid of Yahweh's enemies. I don't understand why it keeps moving, you guys. Forgive me. I'm going to do something a little bit right here to make sure it doesn't move anymore. Let's do this. So what we can understand about this, everyone, okay, is on one of these sons, Yah says, I'm not going to say anything to you. You're done. Okay. The other one, because they used their violence, then he used what was wrong about them in a positive. So Yah's letting you know that you can use something negative and you can turn it into a positive. There's been plenty of people who have made mistakes and done terrible things, and they turned around and used it for good. You understand? You can look at Dawid, what he said. Hey, you give me your spirit, you don't take it away from me. I'll teach the wicked how not to do what I've done. I can use that which I've done to bring about that which is good. So the words of encouragement that I have for us tonight is this. What does Yah call his children? What does he say? What kind of mindset do you and I have as a people? Yes, go ahead. You're stiff-necked. And what else?
Rebellious.
You're rebellious, right? What else? You're hard-hearted, right? What do you mean? You're stubborn. What else? Huh?
Foolish.
He said, thank you. Somebody hit it. You're foolish and you're stupid and you're dumb. Okay. God said some hard things to us. What else did he say? He said, you're blind. What else did he say? He said, you're deaf. What else did he say? He said, you like to get drunk. Huh? My people like to drink and my people like whores. Did he say it? Yes,
Yeah.
he did. My people like wine. They're old wine and they like old whores. That's what he said. And not just his people. He's talking about the Lewiim too. This is what our family has been about. And so what he's telling his children today is, listen, I've given you every indication of how I feel about you guys. And you think you're looking at them when you need to be looking at yourselves. There's things about you that I know about you that you don't know about yourself. If you are going around saying that you're not blind and you're not deaf and you haven't been foolish, you haven't been stupid, and you're not rebellious and you're stiff-necked and you're not stubborn, you're calling me a lie. That's what you're doing. And if you don't take the time to investigate and find out what your problems are and what the solution is, then you're going to remain the same. All this has to do with this is with us not listening to what he says. I bring this point out about Shimon because Shimon had an opportunity. If he lost 69% of his people in the wilderness, it's simply why they were there in the training ground, because that's what the wilderness was about. It's about them to look at themselves. I sent your children into the wilderness for 40 years to bear the consequences of the parents' actions. So he obviously has not learned from his ancestors and from the people. So there's people in the family that are going to refuse to do that which is right. And the Creator's showing us this, okay? And even in the blessings that are presented to us, he doesn't want us to become blindsided by the fact of the word blessing. You got to understand that sometimes the blessing can be that which is corrective towards you, as you and I are going to read here. Yah corrects us and he lets us know what's available to us. You and I can use, listen, you and I can use the rebelliousness, and you can use the stubbornness. You can use the hard-heartedness. You can use the stiff-neckedness. You can use these things to your advantage. You really can. And what I mean by that is if Levi turned around and he used his violence to secure his blessing from the Creator of the heavens and the earth, you and I as well can use that which is in us to turn around and use it to the advantage for our own benefit on behalf of the Creator. That's what you and I can do. And Yah is showing us this. You understand? So you can show your stiff-neckedness towards the idols and the gods and the things that you have done before. You could be very stubborn when it comes to following what other people are talking about. You could be very hard-hearted when it comes to listening to negotiating with evil and wickedness. You can actually be rebellious against the existing system that's in place. You can actually play dumb and stupid and deaf and blind to what everybody else is talking about. You understand? So you and I need to make a decision. He didn't say Levi is doing this because no one else could have. Levi just had the courage to do it. And that's what you and I need to pick up what they laid down. You and I could be like Levi, even though you and I may not be from that tribe. What else does he use Levi for? What is Levi's job? We're going to read here in a second.
Priest.
He's the priest. They're the Leviim. They're the ones who are supposed to be joining the people to the Creator. Are they not the ones who are supposed to teach us the difference between what? What are they supposed to teach us? They're supposed to teach you the difference between clean and unclean. What else are they supposed to teach you? Somebody give me some ideas. What else are they supposed to teach?
How to follow the Moedim.
How to follow Moedims. What else?
And
Torah.
word.
They're supposed to teach you the Torah. They supposed to, did they not sing in the Psalms? A majority of the Psalms besides David is from the family of Korah and from the family of these Ezrakis, or the family of Asa. Asa was from the family of Levi. They were Kohanim. The prophets, some of the prophets were Kohanim. They were from that family. You understand? So he's letting us know that even though you may not know what family you're from, you have to learn from every one of them. That's your job. That's why I'm telling you what it is. That's why I'm directing this in particular Torah portion called Wazof to you. That's why I'm letting you know. You got a choice to make, okay? Because I hear what you say, all right? So let's look at something else. I hope that makes sense for everyone. Because it made sense for me when I started studying this. And when I was looking, I was like, why would he cut their numbers down? He's cutting their numbers down because they don't want to make any changes. They don't want to make any changes. Okay. So listen, we're back at the Torah portion, right? He says to Yehuda's praise. And look at what he said to him. He says, hear. And that was a command, by the way, in the Hebrew. He says, Shema, hear Yahweh, the cry of Yehuda. That's what Moshe was asking on behalf of Yehuda, right? He says, bring him into his people and let his hands defend him, but you help him against his enemies. What are we to take from this? We're to take from this the Yahweh. There was a request made on behalf of the people of Yehuda. Why? Just for Yehuda or for the whole family? See, we have to understand if one family member is being attacked, all family members are being attacked. Listen to me carefully, okay? You and I, as a people, need help from Yahweh. And he's letting you and I know right now that the only help that we're ever going to have against our enemies is coming from Yahweh. It's coming from Yahweh. Even though Shimon is not listed here, it means that Yahweh hears. Yah still here, even though Shimon is not even mentioned. Yah still hears. That was the command. He was asking Yah on behalf of these people on the end of his time of teaching them. He's been watching them for over 40 years. And he knows. How does he know what's going to happen with these people? Because he's been watching them. He's been evaluating them. And therefore, he's asking Yah on behalf of Yehuda to help him against his enemies. You see? Because why? Because why would he ask for help for Yehuda, and Yehuda is the leader of, I'm just kidding. He's the leader of the tribes. Why? Why ask him for help? Think about it. Who did Yah choose to put his throne? He chose the tribe of Yehuda. He chose to have his scepter in Yehuda's tribe. He chose that in particular family, right? Listen, to be the leadership, okay, and the rulership of the entire nation of Yisrael. That's a great responsibility. It wasn't as if Moshe didn't want Yah to help anybody else and as if nobody else was going to have any enemies. But the one who is going to have the greatest amount of enemies and the one who's of greatest importance is the one who's supposed to lead the whole entire nation. You see? It's not just to protect them from the enemies so they won't be able to give them praise. The rulership of the nation is the foundation. Part of the foundation, of the nation. They're the ones that everybody looks to. When you look at what happened with Joseph and his brothers, Yehuda is the one who took the leadership position, as we went over in our Torah portion, which we will be going back to over again to look at what he did. You see? So he took the position of that. And that's the reason why Moshe is asking Yah on his behalf to do this. As we discussed just a few moments ago, we find out that the tribe of Levi, he said, of Levi, he said, let your Thummim and Urim be with your pious one. That means your devoted one, whom you tested at Massa and with whom you struggled at the Merivah spring. Of his father and his mother, he said, I don't know them. He didn't acknowledge his brothers or children, for he observed your word and he kept your covenant, right? Listen, they will teach Yaakov your rulings, Yisrael your Torah. They will set incense before you and hold burnt offerings on your altar. Yahweh bless his possessions, okay, and accept the work he does, but crush his enemies, hip and thigh, and may those who hate him rise no more. Now, that was a mouthful, right? There's a lot that he said about him. I mean, what, we got 5 verses of him saying things about him and talking about everything that he's done. Why? Somebody tell me, why is he giving this extensive blessing about Lewi? What does Lewi do?
Join.
He joins the people together, right? This Thummim and this Urim right here, right, is what they would call the Thummim right here, means to be complete. Completeness, wholeness. The Urim mean here is light. Okay. When you talked about completeness, that means that they wanted these two little stones that they had that they carried in a breastplate. And this is for the Kohanim. It was part of what was part of the breastplate. They would have these two stones. And when he wanted to answer from the creator, when they would go to consult the creator, they would use these two stones, the Thummim and the Urim. The reason why I know it's completeness is because this word Thummim right here, or Thummim, they didn't spell it correctly, comes from the word Tamim, okay? Tamim. And Tamim means to be perfect. That means to be complete, okay? So when they would go and ask Yah for judgment, they wanted perfect light on the situation. There were sometimes things that no one could get an answer about. No one has all the answers, okay? The only one who has the answers for our people is the creator of the heavens and the earth. He wanted them to consult him about situations that they weren't able to understand. That meant that no one fully understands, not even the Kohanim. So this is not a magic trick. This is not something where someone has some special wisdom. They always had to consult Yahweh for the answer. And that's what makes us a really wonderful people, is that you and I have access to the creator of the heavens and the earth, the sun, the moon, and the stars, the one who controls the waves of the sea that roars, the one who's in charge of life and death, the one who's in charge of vegetation, growth, and development, the one who's in charge of borders and rivers and streams, the one who's in charge of fruits and vegetables, the one who's in charge of the wind and the breath in the air, the one who's in charge of storms is the one that you and I have access to. And you and I we have to stop taking this lightly, people. This is the family that you and I belong to. The one that we belong to is the one who's going to make sure that there will be perfect justice and righteousness. He doesn't need us, but he desires to fulfill the oath that he swore to our fathers, that he promised them. And we've taken our Elohim for granted. But these in particular people, these Leviim, they were divided into two groups. One was the Kohanim and the other was the Leviim. The Leviim were in charge of the maintenance of the temple and to carry the different articles and so forth. And there's regulations and there's judgments on what they can do and how they can do it. And there was limitations that they were limited by. He said he was devoted to him. He said he tested him in Massa and he struggled with him. So you and I can understand something here. As not just for this family, but to understand, do you think that they're the only people that Yah would test it? No. You think this is the only one who's pious? At that moment they were, but he's the devoted one. But Yah caused him to be devoted because he had to prove himself. Lewi, the family of joining, is the one who has to prove themselves. It says that Yah tested him at Massa and tested them in the Mirah spring. Well, according to the story of Massa and Mirah spring, Massa is the place of what they would call, let me see, Massa. Massa was a burden. Mirah was contention. It was a place of argument. Okay. And what it was at this location, okay, they're not two different locations. They're one location. And I'm going to show it to you. I don't like to say things and I can't prove it to you. He's mentioning this for us because he wants us to know how he feels about the family. Every family member has a role and a responsibility to play for the good of everybody. Okay, it's for the benefit of everybody. Lewi is not just beneficial for Lewi. Lewi is supposed to be beneficial for all other 11 tribes. When he talks about the Merah spring and he talks about Massa, okay, you will find this information in the book of Exodus. I'm not here to preach. I'm here to teach. I'm here to let you know that the creator of the heavens and the earth is going to let us know. And I stand corrected on Massa. It is mean in Hebrew as a burden, but also too, it means a place of testing. Okay. So when we look at chapter number 17, okay, in chapter number 17, it says this: the whole community of the people of Israel. Remember, we just read that the Torah was given for the whole community of Israel to be taught by the Leviim. Listen to this. He said that they left the Sin desert, traveling in stages as Yahweh had ordered, and camped at the Rephidim, and there was no water for the people to drink. The people argued and they quarreled with Moshe and demanding, give us water to drink. But Moshe replied, why you pick a fight with me? Why are you testing Elohim? The reason why this is here is because Moshe is the mouthpiece for Yahweh. The people, instead of them saying what they wanted to say to Yah, they got a punching bag through Moshe. So anytime they wanted to say how they felt, they knew all they had to do was to put it to Moshe. And Moshe is saying, look, I'm not the one that you're really talking to. I'm not the one that you have a problem with. You're not really picking a fight with me. And then he says, why are you testing Yah? Because that's who you're testing. However, the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moshe for what, listen what they said in quotation, for what did you bring us out from Egypt? Meaning why? To kill us? They're not talking to Moshe, they're talking to Yah. Our children and our livestock with thirst? Moshe cried out to Yahweh, what am I to do with these people? They're ready to stone me. This is the way they got down: argue, fight, and stone. Okay, quick answer. Yahweh answered Moshe, go on ahead of the people and bring with you the leaders of Israel. Take your staff in your hand, the one you used to strike the river, and go. I will stand in front of you there on the rock in Korev. You are to strike the rock. Remember, the second time he told him not to strike the rock. He told him to speak to the rock. This is the first occasion he tells him to strike the rock, and water will come out of it so the people can drink. Moshe did this in the sight of the leaders of Yisrael. The place was called Massa, which is testing. Okay. And Mirava, meaning quarreling, arguing. You understand? A contention, an argument, because the quarreling of the people of Israel, and because they tested Yahweh by asking, is Yahweh with us or not? Now, I want you to understand, it's not two places, it's one place that these two things happen. The testing happened in this place, and the arguing happened in this place. They were testing Yah. They were putting him to the test. They were testing him by asking, is Yahweh with us or not? That's the question. That's the argument. Okay, so he's already got them through the Red Sea. He already delivered them out. He's already done all the signs in Mitzrayim. He's already killed the firstborn. He's already done these things for them. He's already fed them with manna in chapter number 16. You understand? He's already given them quails. He's already done these things for them. He's already destroyed Pharaoh's army. He's already destroyed their chariots. He's already shown them the cloud. He's done all these things. He spoke to them when they were in Mitzrayim and told them what it was. He revealed himself to them in chapter number 6. He told Pharaoh what it was, that they're my son, and brought them out. And they still are asking this question, is Yahweh with us or not? This is what the contention is. And this is what it's always have been, because this is the hard-heartedness and the stiff-neckedness that he's talking about. And we don't want to recognize it. We want to act as if this story is just exclusive just to a few people in this tribe that was acting crazy. This is a picture of our family. This is a picture of our people today. They're still testing him, and they're still having the debate and the question of whether or not he's with us or not. And this is the reason why he killed the first generation in the wilderness, because they created another God and they refused to go into the land because they didn't believe Yahweh was with them. That's the reason why they didn't go in. That's the reason why they had fear. So what is Yah's expectation? What is he expecting from his people? It's a lot he's expecting from us. This is not no literal free ride for you and I. And a lot of people are telling you that, oh, we're the children of Israel, and you know what? And we've been enslaved and so forth and so on. But they never talk about what we've done. They never put the 2 and 2 together. They never really look at the Torah. They look at them as Bible stories or Sunday school lessons. They don't really understand what Yah is saying to us. He's not just talking to Levi. Did he say, just we just read in Exodus chapter number 17, did it mention anything about Levi, or did it talk about the whole nation?
The whole nation.
The whole nation. So if you and I are up on the story, we up on the Torah, we would understand, wait a minute. So what really happened? What is he saying that you tested them, whom you tested at Massa and whom you struggled with at Mirah? Who Yah tested them, or did they test him? Huh?
They tested him.
They tested him. You understand? They tested him. The test for Levi was after the golden calf. Let's find out whether or not you qualify to be able to stand and be a sufficient, reliable, dependable, stand in the gap for the people. I'm going to tell you something right now. We would not want Reuven to be the one to have stood in the gap, because you know what his father said about him? He says, you're weak as water. You see how perfect it is? Huh? That Yah has allowed a tribe that has a violent streak to be the ones to stand in the gap, because I need somebody to, when I talk about killing those that need to be killed, you guys will be the ones who won't back down, and you have the type of mindset. If I send you in there to do it, you're the ones who to instruct the people. Don't you understand why now that he chose them to teach Yaakov the rulings? If I told you to blow the shofar to command the people and you give them encouragement before they go to war, don't they need somebody who has already proven to be a violent people? Am I condoning violence? And for the Torah, I am. If Yah asked us to do a job, you and I are supposed to go in and do the job. You understand? He ain't asked us to do it here, but guess what? If he told us to do it, we got to do it. Because these people are the ones who are leading us to tell us this is how you need to be. When it comes to the Torah, you have to have a sense of violence about you. You do. You need to be, that same violence needs to be the one who's willing to die and protect the Torah. Those are the ones that he needs to stand in the gap, because they're the ones supposed to teach the people. You understand? So this is not just for Levi. So whatever tribe you may be associated with, understand. When I told them to go in and kill everybody, I didn't send Levi in to go do it. I told the rest of them to go do it. Did I not? And as a result of them not doing what I told them to do, they allowed people to come into the land and to encourage them and to deceive them and to make covenants with them and marry their sons and their daughters. And now you're out of the land because you didn't listen to what I said, which I was giving you the instructions. There's a reason why Yah tells them to do things. And there's a reason why he's telling us this today. You may not have to go out and kill anybody right now, but I tell you one thing you might have to do. You have to tear down some altars. You're going to have to cut down some pillars. You're going to have to smash some standing stones. And you have to put some people out of your life that are wicked and evil, who refuse to do what he says. This is what Dawid said. It would be better for me. I don't want to eat at the table with somebody that hates the Creator. You're not going to rebel against what he said and me and you go sit around and break bread together. I'm not going to join up with a thief and a liar and an adulterer just so I can have a relationship. Neither am I going to deny the power of the Creator of the heavens and the earth just so you'll like me. I'm not going to violate the Shabbat because I want to be in business, so I can go buy another car, or I want to have a better looking house. You understand what I'm saying to you today? You and I are the children of the living Elohim. We don't serve an idol or an image. You and I serve a living Elohim of the power of all powers. And because we do, you and I are going to have to step the game up. You and I are not going to have to contract. You and I are going to have to expand. And we have to start not just expanding our learning, but expanding our understanding and understand and expand the way that you think. Okay? Because that's what this is about. And this is what he's talking about. He also says that your father and your mother, he said, I don't know them. Why? To encourage everybody else. I don't know them. You mean the father and mother who laid down and had me and took care of me? He tells us if anybody goes against the creator of the heavens and the earth, he says that for them, you need to report it. You need not to do what they're talking about. Why has Yah encouraged them to not be like their father and mother? Somebody tell me. Why did he say don't be like your parents? Don't listen to them. Why do you tell them? Don't. This is the only time he ever told you not to listen to them. What's that about?
Because they were idolatrous and didn't do what he said.
They hate Yah. Do you understand? They have a built-in desire to do what they want to do, irregardless to what he says. Don't matter if he delivered them. It doesn't matter that he fed them in the wilderness. It doesn't matter that he destroyed their enemies. It doesn't matter that he's given them a land and given them righteous rulings. It doesn't matter. What we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of what he said. We're going to benefit off of him. We're going to hustle him when we get to the land. Just as long as we get to the land, he'll never know. He'll never know what we're doing because he doesn't exist. This is what these people are saying. You understand? They want a God that they can serve that doesn't hold them accountable and responsible for their actions and their deeds. When he told Abraham, our father, it started off in the relationship with our father, Abraham, that told him to leave your father's house. Why? Tell me why.
They were idolaters.
Idolatrous. They're worshiping something that doesn't exist. Why the whole time the creator of the heavens and the earth is not getting his just and he's not getting his due that's owed to him. And we'll talk more about that on Shabbat. He's not getting it. No one is giving Yah what's due to him. No one. He created us to give him that due. He's created us for us to teach the people how to do that when he restores us. We dropped the ball. Do you understand? I don't know them. And he didn't acknowledge his brothers and his children, for he observed your word and he kept your covenant. Talking about no one kept his covenant. They kept it. They guarded it. You understand? They will teach Yaakov. They're the ones who have proven themselves worthy because of this behavior that they had. You understand? Because of verse number 9, you're qualified now to be a teacher to my people. I didn't choose you because I just liked you. You proved yourself to me. And therefore, everybody else should learn from you because you're the teacher. So you need to teach them the same mindset that you had to forget about everybody and to ignore everybody and to even go through the camp and kill your own friends. When I told you to do it, I'm telling you right now that everybody else have to adopt that same attitude. I'm telling you right now, that's the type of level of commitment I'm looking for. I'm telling you right now that if I called you Yisrael, I'm showing you through this tribe that I look for excellence and I'm looking for separation between you and everybody else. Just like you can't go and hang out with the priest and you can't come into the temple and it was guarded, I'm letting the nations know that they just can't come up to me. They got to go through you to come to me. Ain't nobody going to walk up to me, the set apart one, the Kadosh one of the heavens and the earth. No man has ever seen me and no man will ever see me because you will die in my presence. I'm the eternal one who's lived forever and never dies. You need to understand that. So these words of our living Elohim is telling us right now. You understand? He said that they will set incense before you in the whole burnt offerings. It's not just the whole burnt offerings. It talks about these offerings that there are gifts. That's what they're going to set before your altar. Gifts before the Creator. That's what he's going to do. So the priesthood is always going to be there. Yah will bless his possessions, bless what was brought to him, not the possessions that he received or the possessions that he received from the hands of your people. That's all. Bless his possessions because he decided that he wanted to be a blessing. He wanted to stand up for you. And therefore, by standing up for you, he stands up for the whole entire family. And if anybody else don't want to get in a family, they don't want to do what the Creator says, then that's so shame on them. They want to die, let them die. That's the attitude that you and I need to have. And it ain't because you're a Levine. It's because that's what he taught them. And that's what the example that they left for us. And that's the one you and I need to have. They don't want this great Elohim. Fine. The relationship is over. Well, you're cutting people out of your family. That's all you have. What about the phone calls and the friendships? What about Yah? I told you I'll be considered radical. I told my wife today, I asked her, I bless her soul, her mother's passing away. She's in the process, comfort care, taking the morphine, almost out of there. It's crazy how death is and how it comes upon you. And we're talking today, and I said to her, I said, we really need to evaluate ourselves, and we need to evaluate where we are. And we need to understand that Yah is looking for absolute total commitment. And I said, let's be honest with ourselves. Do you think our children are really committed? And I went through each and every last one of them. And her answer was no. And I said, I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at my kids because they're not 100% committed. All it means to me is that I need to do a better job of showing commitment. That's what it needs to be. Obviously, I may have something in my life that's not being a great example. I got to look at myself. I'm saying what I'm saying to you tonight simply because it's not to put the finger and point it at your children or point it at your family. I'm not asking you to point the family and say, look at me, I'm righteous. Yah's telling us to look at ourselves. If someone was to be able to see the devotion that you and I have, it would be that devotion of the pious one, the one who's completely devoted to Yah. That may be the way that they can look at it and see the steadfastness. People are watching you. They're watching your life. I have an uncle that, he didn't believe anything I said until Kanye said it. Now he wants and also he was asking me something on the Shabbat, and he caught himself and texted me and said, oh, I forgot it was the Shabbat. He doesn't follow Yah, but he said, oh, I'm sorry. It's the Shabbat. I said, yeah, it is. That's why I didn't respond, because I didn't respond to none of his texts. And he texted me, oh, it's the Shabbat. You don't know people are watching you. So who is going to take Yahweh's side? Huh? Who? See? Have the personality. Say, you know what, Raven, his numbers are going to be few. I don't want my numbers to be few. I don't want my numbers to be few. So I got to change my mentality. What about Shimon? Well, he's not mentioned. Why? Because y'all heard him and he was doing all that complaining in the wilderness. That's just part of who those people are. Maybe I should stop complaining all the time. Oh, what about Lewi or Yehuda? What can I do about that? Well, you know what? He did say that he's praised and he would have enemies. And if I do plan on being an example and being a leader in the kingdom, I should adopt those attitudes. And I am going to need Yahweh's help against my enemies, because I do have them. So I need to stop acting like I don't have enemies. And if I do have them, I need to ask Yah to destroy them. That's what I need, and to alleviate them out of my life. Yes. Okay. You and I have to have that mentality, and I'm going to prove it to you again on Shabbat. What about Lewi? Finally, I know I'm 4 minutes over. You and I need to adopt the mindset of total commitment to Yah. You and I need to understand that I'm not telling you, listen what he says so you can be clear. If you know the Torah, he says the only people that you and I can ever go except outside of the Kohanim. He could not have anything to do with his mother and father when they died, meaning he couldn't go touch their body. Okay. But the Leviim, they could, or the other priests, they could. But if he was a high priest, he couldn't. Everyone else is the only people that you can partake in their death and ceremonial and all that kind of thing. When it came to eating the food and having the possessions, it wasn't like their mother and father and their sons and daughters didn't eat. Like he didn't care about them. They shared in it. But if their daughter was a whore, she was burned to death alive. Why? Because of the call that was on their lives. They had to be this exceptional group of people. Why? Because I'm the example to the community. So what are you and I supposed to derive or to get or gather from that? You and I need to have that same type of exceptionalism. We need to live by that same mindset, that excellence, that you're not going to tolerate certain things. And you are going to learn the difference between clean and unclean. And you are going to start going through things of separation. You are right now in a position to learn and teach. Why you and I are in our exile. You can take advantage of your exile. Don't sit back and wait for a Leviim, because there's no Leviim right now who can come in and serve on Yah's behalf, on our behalf. So why even introduce us to the Torah if they're not around? Why? Oh, Dawid, you might be a Leviim because you're hardcore. You're ready to kill for them. Yeah, that may be true. It's possible. But guess what? I don't know. Why? Because I'm going to honor the family of the Leviim because they're bloodline. Not anybody can touch their family. So I don't claim to be a Leviim and never will until I go through the process where Yah separates me and say, yeah, you're part of that family. Then after I get that verification and registry, then I would be able to say that with confidence without violating Yah's law by saying that I'm part of a family that I'm not. So this is why we're in exile. Take advantage of it. But don't go past what Yah said. Don't say you're Leviim and you're not. You have no way to prove it. I'm saying it live on YouTube. You can't prove it. You're a fake and you're a liar, and Yah's going to destroy you, just like he said he would in chapter 2 and 3 and 4 of the book of Numbers. If you put your hand to the work that don't belong to you and you're claiming something that's not you, Yah's going to put you to death for it. He does not respect their persons. So get that out your vocabulary that you are a Leviim, because you're not. And I'll challenge anybody. I don't care where you're from. I can name a whole bunch of different temples right now who are going around saying they're Leviim. I can challenge them all right now. And I will prove to them that they're all liars. I ain't going to say their names right now. I don't want to cause any more contention. But what I am going to tell you is this. Based on what Yahweh says, okay, there's no evidence and there's no proof of that. Do they exist? Yes, they do. But do you know who they are? No. And if you don't put your name to it. Don't put your hand to the work that ain't yours. Because then you're going to get sideways and think that you got a temple. You're going to start making offerings. You're going to start spilling blood. You're going to start giving out the Aramaic blessing. There's people out here doing the Aramaic blessing. Like they're from that family. Like they have a right to say those words that Aharon said. You understand? You know, why Yavreka, why Yishmareka, Yahweh Aleka. They don't have no right to say that. You understand? So you and I need to get that up here and understand this. Yah's telling us, don't go outside of what I said. What's the rule? Do you not add or subtract from any words that I'm telling you right now? If you do, you're not obeying the Torah. And then you're going to misrepresent the Creator. That's it. That's all. That's it for tonight. I know it's fiery, but you know what? We got to get this right. We're his family. We are his children. We belong to Yah's house. And therefore, while we're in our exile, you and I are going to take advantage of this exile, and we're going to learn everything we possibly can. And we're going to ensure that our families are devoted to Yah. We're going to make sure our families will give him praise, and we're going to make sure that our family will be remembered, and we're going to make sure our families won't be decreased.